Did scientists accidentally invent an anti-addiction drug? People taking Ozempic for weight loss say that they have also stopped drinking, smoking, shopping, even nail biting. I might have to get in on this. According to the new reporting from Atlantic magazine, Ozempic is the brand name. Semaglutide has anecdotally been linked to a reduction in addictive and compulsive behavior in some patients, and scientists say it has something to do with how the drug rewires the brain's reward centers. Ozempic tricks the pancreas to release insulin by mimicking a hormone called GLP-1, and it promotes weight loss by reducing appetite. Scientists told The Atlantic that early studies show the drug also binds to neuron receptors in the brain, altering the way dopamine receptors work, potentially providing relief to those struggling with addiction more broadly. So The Atlantic had this interesting article the other day that I flagged for our review. Did scientists accidentally invent an anti-addiction drug? Talking about how this is just great for everything. There's no downsides expressed whatsoever in this Atlantic piece. Am I being paranoid to say this sounds way too good to be true?
Well, if you are, you're not the only one. There were a number of people who responded to this article saying things along the lines of, what could go wrong? Or, this seems too good to be true. Other people pushed back saying that part of the skepticism around Ozempic is because, this is from someone called Dr. Samantha Hancock. She says there's a kind of person on here who really wants Ozempic to not be an efficient impulse control drug, because that would mean we would solve social problems via technological advancement instead of moral reform, and their worldview is libidinally opposed to that.
Oh.
So the idea that, we have these puritanical values in this country of, self-control and restraint, and we moralize about people who suffer with addiction and obesity, and what would happen if there were a shortcut to not just losing weight, but to quitting smoking, stopping biting your nails, doing any number of kind of impulsive addictive behaviors. Is it cheating? Does it not count?
Oh, well, that's not my opposition at all. I would much rather solve social issues through technology than through like requiring it via social moral policy. Sure. I as a libertarian, I'm against everything from smoking bans to sin taxes and all that. It's your choice. So yes, better technology to empower people to make healthier choices for themselves if they want to is far and away the best thing you can have. I guess I'm coming at it from a mounting suspicion, not total distrust of everything that comes out of the pharmaceutical industry, but a concern, as we saw with COVID vaccines, for instance, that was it too good to be true? Yes, in fact, it was too good to be true if you're going with the initial early, this is going to end the pandemic if everybody gets vaccinated because there's going to be no more cases. Look at how well, 90-something% of cases it's preventing. Then it turns out, actually, there will be some breakthrough cases. Okay, actually, literally everyone will still get COVID, but if you've been vaccinated, the most at risk are going to have improved symptoms and that kind of thing. What was promised and then the delivery at the end was so different. I know this is a totally different thing.
And I really want to appreciate and validate that that's the thing that happened and that's a concern.
Yeah.
It is also true that there are hundreds of thousands, millions maybe of medications on the market that people take every single day. Everybody over the age of 45 is having their Lipitor every day. There are drugs that are issued in a routine way that have very minimal side effects and that are substantially improving people's lives. We have an obesity epidemic in the United States of America that has led in part to our having worse COVID outcomes in other countries in the world.
But none of those things are getting better.
A lot of people are testifying to the fact that their loved ones have long been on Ozempic because of diabetes or other more health-related things than the cosmetic-related issues, and it's the first time in their lives that they have been able to be mobile, get their diet under control, curb their impulses, have better health outcomes, have longer times with their families, and they are frustrated because the drug is not as readily available because there's celebrities and rich people going for it to lose weight, but they are also worried about the pushback, the backlash against Ozempic from people who do seem to be weirdly invested, it seems, disproportionately in the idea that it might be too good to be true. Not that there might be side effects. I think that's legitimate. I think all is legitimate. But it's also worth noting that this drug has been used for a lot longer than it's been kind of a social media trending topic by people who use it for diabetes and weight control. And it's been relatively well tolerated compared to a lot of other drugs that don't get the same amount of skepticism that Ozempic's been getting.
Well, and that's great. If that all works out, that's great. But you were talking about various social problems that we do treat with antidepressants, Adderall's prescribed. Actually, it's hard to get right now. If you have a prescription for it, it's like there's shortages of Adderall right now. It's so overprescribed. But we haven't. And again, I'm not trying to say crazy. I'm not trying to say none of these things work or something, or don't take your meds. I very much think the opposite. You should take your meds. It has our country's mental health trajectory and physical health trajectory is bad. Despite more of these drugs, easier access to them. And I don't want gatekeeping. I don't want the government or the medical establishment to prevent your access to them. I think that ought to be your choice between you and your doctor. But prescribing more kind of mood altering, for your emotions sort of drugs does not seem to be improving on aggregate, the outcomes for mental health in this country.
Yeah, I mean, I do think mental health drugs are different than a weight loss drug.
Yeah.
Or if it turns out to be an addiction drug.
Well, I mean, it's straddling a line here between.
It's harder for me to make the case that this is a problem if it's not personality distorting as much as compulsivity wrangling. It's hard for me to make the argument for why. Like, I can make an argument for why ADHD, hyperactivity is not actually a problem. Evolutionarily, there's advantages to having a high activity level. Just in the modern era where people are forced in desk jobs behind computers, it's a bad fit, and that using medicine to address a problem that's really a social problem, there's a give and take and some real philosophical issues to wrangle with there. It's harder for me to make the argument that compulsivity, having addiction in any context, is a good thing or is adaptive or is useful and something that we should protect and is about individual diversity in a way that is positive. And maybe I'm being short-sighted here and someone can make the case to me, and I'm of course open to it. But, this is a drug that is not just making people lose weight because their body is not metabolized. It's changing your desire to eat certain kinds of foods in a way that feels more productive than just, let's say, one of these bloat pills that causes you to go to the bathroom all the time or whatever, in a way that's not especially healthy and puts pressure on your system in other ways. People making good choices, healthy choices, seems like a good thing. And I don't know, I do feel like some of the pushback against Ozempic, and especially some of the critique that's been made of celebrities who have used Ozempic, is almost like a visceral anger. Like, how dare they cheat? They should have to put in the hours. They should have to put in sweat equity. It's somehow not real, and everyone almost seems to be relishing the day where
honestly, celebrities are the only people that
and Mindy Kaling gets big again.
Celebrities are the only people who can reliably lose weight like that because you need a personal trainer and you need a schedule and you need
all of them manage it. I mean,
but most ordinary people really don't manage it.
Sure.
It's if you want to get in Marvel body shape, right? You want to be in Magic Mike or something. You get a personal. I mean, the studio gives you a trainer and you train with them for 6 months or a year, and then you look, the way you do at the end of that. It's part of their job. That it's totally unreasonable to expect.
Right. And it's no more unsustainable than taking Ozempic for the rest of your life. In fact, taking Ozempic is probably much more sustainable than working out with a personal trainer at that level to look like Magic Mike. Yeah, for sure.
All right, we will continue to follow the Ozempic trends. More rising right after this.